Hello, and thanks for watching. My name is Eric Hollenberry, and I'm from the GitHub training team. I'm joined by Jonathan Silva from GitKraken, and we're going to talk to you about basically the GitHub flow through the GitKraken client. Jonathan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me, Eric. So my name is Jonathan. I'm the training and content director here at GitKraken. So it's my job to try to create as many resources for our users, especially for GitHub users, since we have a lot of integration points between GitKraken and your GitHub repos. And what I can do is, what I'll be doing today is I'll be showing you, hey, here's a project that I want to start contributing to. Here's a repo with some existing issues. How can I open up my repo, take a look at what's going on, and start contributing? So that's mainly what I'll be focusing on today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So basically we'll be going through somebody who this is for people who haven't really experienced GitKraken before and kind of takes us through the day-to-day workflow of working with GitHub and GitKraken.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is perfect for anyone. If you're newer to Git, this will be perfect for you because we'll show you how to get started, all the pro tips. And if you are someone who's more experienced, maybe you use another Git client, this will help you, ease into our style, working with repos in our client. I argue our client is one of the more beautiful offerings out there, and I think it's a thing of beauty and definitely enhances the experience of just looking through your projects and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, on our side, we see a lot of tools as a team, and your graph feature is often referred to as best in class. In our
Wow, I'll have to tell I have to tell my designer that because he'll just eat that up. That's definitely what we strive for. That's great to hear.
Awesome. Well, cool. Let's dive in.
Yes, all right. So what you should see in front of you here is just a sample repo that I have up on GitHub. It is my GitHub Sync docs. And so this might represent a project that you yourself might want to start contributing. And likely what you'll see on any of these projects is a list of issues. And maybe you decide like, hey, this number 34, I want to actually, dive in and take a look at what it will take to make that happen. So what you can do before you even, you don't necessarily need to do anything here on the GitHub side. What we can do is when you download GitKraken, you'll be prompted with the option to sign in. And for GitHub users specifically, we have a special feature for you in that we allow you to sign in with your GitHub credentials. And this will fast track the integration that we have with GitHub. So if I click to sign in, it'll say, hey, are you sure you want to authorize? I'm like, yes, please authorize. Go ahead and set up that integration. You'll get a nice success message here once it goes through. And then when it does go through, you'll have the options to open a project, start a local project, or even initialize a project up on GitHub if you wanted to. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm actually going to clone a project that I already have up on GitHub. So something magical happened when I signed in with GitHub, and let me show you. So if I go to preferences and I go to authentication, so I am already connected to GitHub because I signed in here. And I've also already added my SSH keys, but just to show you how easy it is to connect to it, if maybe you're someone who already has GitKraken set up and you just haven't signed in before, it's still pretty easy to connect to GitHub just by clicking, again, a magical green button. It'll ask you, do you want to authorize GitKraken to access GitHub? The answer is yes. And so once you go back, you'll have a couple options. So this one's more for, let me get into the authentication side of things. So when GitKraken tries to, when you ask it to push or pull or perform any operations between your local and the remote up on GitHub, we're going to do that either over HTTPS or SSH. And if you're someone who prefers SSH, we actually have a fast way of adding your SSH keys or creating SSH keys and immediately adding them to GitHub. Again, another green magic button that you can click. I'm going to generate an SSH key and add it to GitHub. The SSH keys are successfully added to GitHub, which means I can now interact with any of my repos over SSH. Or if I prefer just using HTTPS, that's also pretty valid too.
Okay, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think before, if you wanted to create your own SSH keys, you'd have to, I think there's a process that's involved in creating them, first creating the SSH keys and then making sure that you can access them. So hopefully we simplify that entire process just with a few clicks of a few buttons.
Yeah, it's definitely a more complicated process on our side. You go in, you add the title. Sometimes you have to then add it to your command line, and then it's more secure, but it goes on for a little bit to get set up.
Yeah.
And one thing just to clarify, downloading GitKraken is just go to the website, and then I saw a big red button on the top right.
Yeah. We make it real easy. It's exactly where you go, gitkraken.com.
And for this webcast, is the difference between pro and not pro really important?
So the biggest difference is that we give you a merge conflict editor.
Mm-hmm.
You can edit the output. And also we have connections to GitHub Enterprise and a couple other options. Any of the self-hosted options are pro only, but you can mostly do everything that I'm going to show you today with just the free version if you want to just get started with that.
Cool.
All right, so I just connected with GitHub. I set up my SSH keys. And the reason I wanted to do that is because now I can go to this clone option and click on github.com. And what happens here is that I now can see a list of all of my repos that I have up on GitHub. So the repo that we were looking at previously, this one's actually already on my fork. So if you fork a repository that you want to work on, it will show up in the list here in GitKraken. So in my case, I call this, I'll just search the word sync. So the GitHub sync docs, I like to clone this repository. I'm going to clone it down to the specific folder on my machine. And voila. So when I open it, I already see the history. You can see all the things I've been doing to this repo. It's a bit of a test repo, but the wonderful thing here is that you see the history of the entire project. So that's what you're seeing here in the center. You're seeing all of my commits, all the branches. In my case, I was even trying to trigger a merge conflict here. But in terms of what you're seeing, the graph represents all of the commits you've made, and you'll see the commits that others have made as well. And then over on the left-hand side, we'll give you a list of all the local branches that you have. So I only have master here locally, but up on the project, we also have some remote branches. So dev, master, production, and staging. And it looks like there's even an active pull request going on right here too. When you click on any of the files, it's really handy because we give you a list of, so in this commit, I have a question of like, what did we update? Well, I can click the file and I can review the diff. So in this case, this one's more of an advanced one, but I updated the sub module that this repo was initially pointing to. But if I even go back and take a look at maybe some of this older commits here, I can see any files that I've modified. Let's see if I added. Yeah. I think I was doing something fancy with this one. But we'll give you a list of all the files that were modified. And then as you're building out all of the repos that you have on your machine, you can get something like, here's something that's a little bit more robust. So we have node-git here. And so this one has an extensive history, and you see all the branches. Almost looks like Guitar Hero, for those of you who might have played that in the past. And again, I can review. So here it's just the package.json file. Looks like we just updated the version there. And with any of these diffs, I can switch between hunk view, inline view, in case you want to get some context around where the change was made, or even give you a split view in case you want to see side by side what was modified.
This is so cool. As a active Git user, this is really exciting to see, just to have all of this just from your, oh my gosh, this is really cool. Okay. Can I ask a few questions?
The whole idea, hopefully, is that we're trying to reduce the barrier to entry to Git. Git is an amazing technology. I mean, you can leverage it to, quote unquote, go back in time in case you ever made a mistake, or if you just want to see the branches, like even just visualizing the branches might be a little difficult if you're looking at the command line. I'm much more of a visual person, so for me, seeing this structure, it's just easier to comprehend and understand, oh, okay, here's where my change is relative to all the other things that are going on.
Right. This would probably help a lot for long-standing branches. And even, I think just speaking to the concept of branches, if you're new to Git and GitHub, basically it's you make a sandbox for you to test and experiment on changes. And then one of the biggest things about GitHub or just using Git version control is when you want to merge that back in, other people can review and see the differences between what you tested on the side and then what you get back, or what you will be bringing into the main canonical truthy branch in the future, which is master.
Yes. And it's all about, we want to encourage users to, experiment, work locally, see what might work, what won't work. And when you're ready to share it with others, not only can you push the branch to your fork, or if you have permission to the main project, once you do that, other people will have access to seeing your changes. And if you do want to create an event where you get another set of eyeballs to look at your changes before you merge something in, that's definitely where the pull request flow will help you out.
Yeah, and keeping track of all of your branches and such is also, sometimes people get lost and they lose where their progress was. One thing that we advocate for as a GitHub training team is just the GitHub flow, which is really short-lived branches that get brought out and then merged back in quickly. But then there's this whole other suite of branching strategies that are long-standing, that maybe you have release versions that you need to keep. And this looks like a really good way to just keep a handle on that.
Yeah, GitHub Flow is definitely a nice simplified way of, especially if it's, a simple project, simplicity is key, right? You don't have to get lost in all the branches and why they were created. Mm-hmm. So speaking of branches and making changes, it is really easy to create a branch in GitKraken. So let's say, for our example's sake, so I'm going to check out dev, and you can check out a branch just by double-clicking it. So it was really easy for me to just double-click, say I'll double-click on master. There you go. I now have that checked out. I think the equivalent to this in the CLI is you just type the word git checkout and then the name of the branch. Here's just a double-click. And then double-clicking any of the branches from the local section on the left panel is just as valid. So the reason I want to check out dev is because I want to create a branch here. I can right-click to create a branch, or we even give you a nice shortcut option here on the top toolbar. You can create a branch, and let's call this GitHub GK, since we're doing a nice webcast together. So this GitHub GK is pointing to the same commits as dev, but the moment I start making changes to this repo, you're going to start to see a divergence. And so I can demonstrate that real easily. Let me do this. I clicked the option to view all files, mostly because I just want to get a quick view into everything that's been going on here. It looks like I added this markdown file initially, where it was just talking about board features. And so this is this project is meant to be a documentation project. So it's describing features that are available in Glo, which I'll show towards the end here. And let's just say I wanted to make a simple modification. So maybe I'll just do something innocuous. So first of all, you'll notice that I opened the file, and maybe you thought it was a diff, but I can actually click into it and I can type and save and make changes directly to the file without opening it. This is perfect if you just want to make small changes. Maybe you don't want to you don't have to open your favorite editor of choice. Maybe you want to just make a quick change. GitKraken allows you to do that just in line with the file. And if I exit out of here, you'll see that my change has triggered a new node. It's empty, has little dots around it. That's what we call the whip, which is the work in process. If you click on it, we'll show you everything that's been modified so far. So if I click on this file, you'll see the diff of that change that I just made. So side by side, you see that before it was create a board. Now it's create an epic board. And again, I can compare either inline or in hunk. I'll stick to split view. And from here, it's easy to commit, right? Stage your files. If you have multiple files that were modified, and if within each file you have multiple changes that were made, you do have the option of staging or unstaging specific lines or specific hunks. All of that is possible. But for this example, I'll just do a quick commit of just this one change. So add the word epic. So I'm just going to add this to my commit title. Add the word epic. Oh my gosh. There we go. So you can type out a commit message, add a description if you want to be more descriptive. And once you commit the change, it'll appear here in the branch. So here you start to see that GitHub GK branch now points to a different commit than it was before. And now it is one commit ahead of all of my other branches. So it's easy. It's easy to make changes in GitKraken. Even if you make changes in your favorite editor, we'll detect it, and you'll be able to stage, unstage, and make those commits.
I think what's really nice about this, and actually, could you make another dummy commit really quickly?
I can do better than that. I'll undo my commit.
Oh,
I can undo it. So if you make a mistake, you didn't mean to do something, you can undo it and revert back to where you were before.
that's excellent. Okay, very cool. So what this is on the right side, just for anyone who's again new to Git, it feels when you're brand new that you have to do a lot of things just to save a change, right? It's not like Word where you will save and then move on. You are actually intentionally tracking and breaking down and organizing the changes that you're adding. So that's what all this is on the right, is the unstaged files, moving to staging, moving the commit. If you were to do all this from the command line, you would have to type all this out. You would have to do a git status to see where you are, do a git add to actually track a file in the first place, then do a git commit, and then write a message. And having this all in this nice view is just a way to make that really a straightforward, abstracted away process that makes committing faster than it would be otherwise. And then when you do make the commit, as Jonathan has been clicking through, it's basically like a time machine where you can look back and see exactly what your repository looked like at those different points in time.
So here, in this case, I added this file so I can look and see what the state of this file was. And even cooler, so before I undid the commit, now I can redo it. And there it is. There it's
okay. All right.
Nice and easy, right?
Yeah.
So when you get to a point, so say this represents the work that you've been doing on the original issue that we were talking about, right? Because the whole point of you cloning something down is to get to work. Well, if you're ready to get this to a point where you want to share this out, the first thing you can do is I can push this up to my branch. So this is, or sorry, my fork. So I can, create the same branch up on GitHub. And the way that I know that it made it is I'll get a nice little confirmation saying, hey, you successfully pushed up to GitHub. And you'll see your icon, your remote icon appear here at the top. That's how you know that your remote is in sync with your local. We give you these little icons that make it easier, hopefully from a glance, to tell where everything is in relation to one another. And then the thing that you can do from here is say I am ready to, let's take this branch, and I'm just gonna say I want to create a pull request so I can merge this into staging. So I can drag and drop a branch. I'll show that one more time. You can drag and drop any branch onto one branch onto any other branch. So if I want to drag and drop onto master, drag and drop onto staging, you can do so. And then you're given a few options. So we support rebasing. You can push straight to it. You can reset to this commit if you wanted to. But what I'm interested in doing is creating a pull request. And because you're integrated with GitHub, you get access to this really nice UI where, and I'll even just try to zoom out a little bit. Let me see if I can fit this in a bit more. There we go. So by you dragging and dropping, you pre-fill this section at the top. Which branch do you want merged into what, right? I want GitHub GK merged into staging. And then here's where I'll add epic change. Of course, I would encourage you to be descriptive with your pull requests. You want to help out your reviewers when you're going through all of this. And speaking of reviewers, because you're connected to GitHub, you have access to all of, I have people who are already accessing this project, right? And so I happen to know that Manny is the perfect person to review this specific pull request. He's an epic guy, so I can go ahead and get his input on that. I can add assignees if I maybe want to assign this to myself, since I'll be the one, who will need to make any additional changes. And if you want to add any labels, maybe this is just a good first issue, I can go ahead and add that to the pull request. So once I create it, it'll be, so you'll get a confirmation that, hey, your pull request was successfully created. You can view it on GitHub. I already have GitHub up over here. So let's click the pull request section, and here we go.
This is
Epic
insane.
changes all right here.
This is insane. This is so cool. That was so fluid, and it was just like working. Wow. Okay. And if you had clicked edit instead, would it have just opened a draft pull request for you?
If I would have clicked edit like up here in the upper right,
So when you go to the making a pull request view again on the left side, it said edit on GitHub. Yeah, if that dialog that just popped out.
oh, I see. Interesting. You actually pointed out something I never knew about.
Oh, cool.
I think, yeah, so if I were to create a pull request and I click edit on GitHub, I've actually never clicked this button. Interesting. So yeah, you're taken here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Today
And
I
in this case, there wouldn't have been a thing to compare, but maybe if there would be a thing to compare,
I'll show you
that's awesome.
what's going on
That's
here.
really cool. A lot of people ask for that. They want to do these things from their tools or from their local environment, and most tools don't support it. And to have it just be so straightforward here, because I've seen it in other tools too, that was just it's so seamless. That was really cool.
Yeah, it makes pull requests, it makes making contributions much easier. I mean, my team, for example, we monitor and we maintain the support documentation for support.gitkraken.com, and they're not developers by training, but we know enough to edit markdown files, and so GitKraken has helped us be way more effective in just making contributions like, oh, okay, here's my branch, and creating a pull request is just so much easier, and it helps us understand Git more, and it just makes it much easier for everyone to start contributing. So that's what, when I said earlier, it reduces the barrier to Git. I've seen that happen firsthand.
Yeah, it's amazing. And at GitHub too, tons of teams that aren't development teams or engineering teams, like the legal team or marketing, everyone actually uses GitHub to talk, communicate, introduce their changes.
So the last thing I want to make sure I show is I promised to show you Glo. So Glo is this button available in the upper right corner, and it's an issue board. So you can use it to keep track of what's going on. I use it from things that I do here at work as a to-do list, or things for my team, or I even use it personally, in things that I want to buy for the kitchen or, just the general home. But there is one key feature that I want to make sure I show you all today. So this GitHub Sync projects is actually a board that I've already synced up with Glo. And let me see if I can show you what I mean here. So this is, you may remember some of these issues. Let me show you. So let's look for number 19. So this is add images and reduce the size. So if we go to GitHub, let's go to issues. Here it is. So here's Laura's issue, right? She wanted to add images and reduce the size. I personally think there are way too many labels going on here. It looks like someone just added them willy-nilly. So let's just go ahead and take off most of these and maybe just leave the label good first issue. Okay, so the moment I do that, oh wow, it's already been updated here on the Glo side. So that's what the GitHub Sync is. We let you access, we will connect to a repository, and then we'll bring in all of the issues that you have into your Glo board. And the reason you might want to do that is because perhaps you're looking to have a workflow. So let me resync to GitHub. It's been a while since I've synced it up, so let's bring it all back. There we go. And so now if I want to create just a simple workflow, I can add columns, and just me working mentally, it's nice to have the list of GitHub issues. I don't disagree with that, but it's even nicer to have it as a workflow. So I can mentally say, okay, this one's done, complete. And so I can work through each of these and just drag and drop. And then any changes I make to these issues, so, I'll say, hello from Glo. Let's update the description. And let me do a refresh here. So here it is, hello from Glo, also here on the GitHub side. So any changes you make on GitHub will appear in Glo, and vice versa, which should hopefully make it much easier to work with the list of issues that you have ongoing and to mentally see where they are in your workflow.
Awesome. I have a few questions.
Yes.
If you hop back to the Glo board, I saw a section that said task list. Does that also go back to the issue? So the view you just had on the right-hand side there's that task list.
This just represents tasks that you can add to the card itself. Mm-hmm. So let's see, make recording, and it's just things that another thing. And what this will do, it actually updates the description for you.
Oh, great.
So it'll be updated in the description. That's how you can edit this a little bit further.
That updates into the OP of the issue.
Yeah, let me actually see. I'm curious. Let's see what happens on this side. Oh, wow. Yep, there it is.
Wow. That's like, oh my gosh, we do. I'm genuinely really excited. If when we work as a team, sometimes we neglect that original post on some of the tasks that we have to keep updated. And if it were in a different view, it might just be a little more straightforward. Also going back, it looked like there was the ability to add a comment. Does this board also track comments throughout the whole issue?
Let's make a comment.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, and can you make one on this side and we can see if it updates on the Glo board side?
Comment from GitHub. It's usually faster on Glo.
So we don't even need to go to GitHub anymore. You just do all your work from your local environment.
Well, we need GitHub as a source.
Yeah.
We start with your issues, but yeah, once we establish the connection. Now, a few caveats before. So if you are someone who wants to sync your issues with a GitHub project, just the way that GitHub permissions work on the repository, you do have to be the owner. So that's just a security thing that we make sure we enforce. If you're the owner of the repository, then you can create a sync board. And then from there, you can go and invite anyone else you wish to join the board. We try to look to see if anyone we recognize from the repo, so the GitHub collaborators specifically, you do have an option to invite them just from here, since we have that information handy when we made the connection. But you're also welcome to invite others who are not GitHub contributors, or collaborators, I should say, and they'll just have view access, but even view access might be handy for those folks.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then by the way, you can access Glo from GitKraken, but you can also access it just from a web URL. So I have it saved. I think, here's my to-do list, for example. I have a special thing going on here where I have like the background turned on. So a little fancy on my side, but again, I can access the same thing here where I have the GitHub, the Glo board, and same idea. I can access it here, make a change. When I go to Glo, there it is. It's all synced.
Great. That's really cool.
So how'd I do? You got any other questions for me?
I have so many, but I think it might be better for another day. Let me see if I have a few. One thing that jumped out to me, and this might be new for people who are new to Git, is when you work locally and when you work on your remote, your branches are in two different places, right? So your local branch might be behind what exists on github.com.
Right.
And that's kind of core to Git. That's purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that your image of your user kind of reflects that here on the top. Can you make one more local commit on the GitHub-GK branch?
Absolutely. Let's edit this file. And this change too. So I'm going to save the change, stage and commit, change number 2, just so it's a little more obvious. There we go.
Cool, and it'll show us both of those.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I would, when I see this, I want to make 3 million branches just to see when the UI becomes hard to parse.
I mean, you get a good idea with the Node.Git one.
Yeah.
Just because this is an open source project. So fun fact, we are built off of libgit2 and Node.Git. So we're a C implementation of Git. So you don't necessarily have to have Git installed on your machine. I can even show you real quick. So libgit2, the node git, and then we're an Electron application as well, in case you're curious. But yeah, if you want to create as many branches as you want, you'll get something like this a little bit where you have like this whole, let me zoom out a bit even too. Kind of start to see. Oh, and I can make this larger. Doop.
Oh, great. So you're basically only limited by how big that window is.
Yeah, we can only scroll so far, but
yeah,
you can still see a lot going on at a time.
That's amazing. That's really, really nice to track. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm thrilled about this. This is exciting. This is everything you did. My eyes were just like super wide, just to see that this all can be so straightforward. So I think for people who are getting into this for the first time, this is beautiful. For people who use Git every day, this just makes so many things fluid and effortless, and brings a lot to your local machine. So you don't have to context switch as much, which is really nice.
Yeah, whether you're brand new to Git and you're just getting started, hopefully this will make things much easier. And if you're someone who's a veteran, it just serves as a nice confirmation that what you did that rebase go through? Did I merge that correctly? Or whichever question you may have, you can get a visual confirmation that, oh, yes, it did.
Yeah. Well, so I think we should do another one of these, and we should do some of those things like rebases, merge conflicts, to do some more advanced stuff.
I can definitely show you more of because this was just the beginning. There's definitely way more nitty gritty details that we can get into. GitKraken can do a lot, and I'd be happy to show you more.
Very cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for your time. It was really nice to hop on here and see and explore all this.
Of course, Eric, my pleasure. And for those of you watching, thanks so much for joining. Hopefully this was helpful for all of you as well.